What is up, everyone? Welcome to Max on Deck. It is Wednesday. My name is Osiris. This is Chewy, and today our guest is Sleek from Sleekeyboards.
How you doing, guys?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Still trying to figure out your name. Like, it's not as hard as Langalandadia.
Yeah.
Like, that one's still a tough one. I also pronounced I am a you are you like Amuru the first time I said it. So, because, names. Thanks, Langlandia. So it's Sleek. And then I imagine it's designed to be Sleek Keyboards, but you share the K.
Yeah, that was the original intent, but I can't even say it well most of the time. So I just tell people to call me Sleek. But yeah, the idea was Sleek Keyboards, and then combined. But you call me Sleek Keyboards. It's a little easier.
Well, thanks for joining us. So quick shout out to our sponsors. Let's see, so we've got some more now. Let's see if I can rattle them off real quick. Start from the top. Zap Cables, SwitchMod.net, Dixie Mech, Project Keyboards, Canon Keys, as well as Type Beast. Be sure to check all those out. They got some awesome group buys running. If you want to know more about those group buys, you can go to sleekkeyboards.com or sleekkeyboards.com to look at those group buys. Because all that information is on there. That is what we are here to talk about today. This is if you guys haven't figured, if you have not seen this website, you can do !guest. The website is in there. It's an amazing website. We talked about it. I did accidentally put the hashtag keyboards in there, but you know what? That's what we're talking about, right? So be sure to check out that website. It's really an amazing website. And welcome to the show. Thank you for doing what you do.
I appreciate it, guys. Just having some fun. But yeah, thanks for having me on so early. I just launched like 6 weeks ago, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster since then.
Yeah, this is such a good idea. One place to find group buys. We've seen a bunch of different ways to try to do this. Obviously, everyone knows Geek Hack. Geek Hack's hard to keep up with. There's like the r/mech group buys, but even that, it gets kind of convoluted with the way Reddit works and stuff. And so something like this is like the one-stop shop. And it's got all the pictures, and it's just a nice layout. Looks good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. So real quick, just saying hello to a few people. Alansky, I hope you're serious. Is doing right for you. Langlandia, I feel like you're gonna say something.
He doesn't have it yet.
No.
I'm a
hope
failure.
You're serious. Hope you're serious.
Literally packed up with a shipping label on it.
Is hyped and excited.
It's packed up with a shipping label on it, next to the also packed up with a shipping label on it other board. So
you've been sick for like 9 days straight. It's all good. 10 strong, Brez. Welcome. We've got some new people that have joined us in the last day. Today has been a crazy day. So before we go really deep with Sleek, shout out to the Key Company, who I didn't even know about this until this morning. But the Key Company is actually giving away a Holy Panda hoodie. I imagine you get to pick your size. And if not, you can just be stuck with a super small one in my case, or maybe like Tiny from Tiny, the artisan maker Tiny might wind up with like a triple XL. Who knows? But you can actually win that. All you have to do is go to Instagram, and on either our Instagram, Sleekeyboards Instagram, or the Key.company's Instagram, just post what your favorite keycaps are or what keycaps you're using, and you'll get entered, and follow all three of those, and you'll get entered to win or entered into a drawing to win a free hoodie. Who doesn't like hoodies?
I mean, I'm partial to crew necks, but
that's fair. But hey, still, free stuff is free stuff. Swag. Anyway, be sure to check that guys out.
Whoop, whoop.
We're gonna what?
I was just being dumb, being Mark Ingram from the Ravens. Big trust. Whoop whoop.
Anyway, fast forward. So, for those who don't know, we do a fast four. So top 4 favorite switches.
So the one that I'm using the most right now are yoke burgundies. So it's the yoke holy panda housing with the kale burgundy stems. It's kind of like a linear holy panda. 78 gram springs. I like it pretty heavy. They sound great. Second, probably holy pandas. I use those like 20% of the time. Mostly linears, but when I do want, the tactile kick, I go for the holy pandas. The third ones are probably the tangerines, pretty smooth. And then the fourth one, which I just tried like 2 weeks ago, for the first time, were GAT inks with 205 grade 0. And they sounded so good. I've never used 205 grade 0. And that's definitely going on my next build, especially if it's plateless or like half plate. And they were just terrific. So I'm excited for that.
Very nice.
Next up would be your top 4 favorite key sets.
Key sets. That one's definitely easy because I have my top 4 coming in soon, or over the next couple months. First one is Dual Shot. Dixie's Dual Shot. It's going on one of my favorite boards. But I saw that and I was like, PS2 is my favorite console. That got me like through my childhood. And it just looks great. Happy with novelties. Second is Bingsu from Project Keyboard. That one's going on one of my pink boards. It looks so good. I ate a lot of Bingsu growing up, so that one's a favorite for me. The second 2 are actually running right now. Perestroika on Project Keyboard, the dark red with the Cyrillic Mono Legends. I think that looks fantastic. I'm going to test out what board I want to put it on, but because it's such a unique color. But that one looks so beautiful. And the last one is Future Funk on the Key Company right now. Like a good purple set, dark purple with some vibrancy. Pretty excited about that one, especially since I just before the stream ordered my first purple board. So I'm really excited about it.
Ooh,
There you go.
What'd you get?
That's going on my top 4 keyboard list, but
okay.
I got in. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's next.
What I really like about that list,
yeah,
we get so often and this isn't a bad thing because this is all preference, but so often we get I love white on black and black on white and muted and 9009 and classic beige, and I'm like, those are great, but those are all plain Jane sets. And you've got lots of bright colors or at least desaturated, like very colorful sets. I guess Dual Shot's kind of gray, but it's a lot of color on the mods. So.
Yeah, Dual Shot's kind of like a nostalgia pick for me. But like I'm a designer by background in terms of like what I studied and stuff like that. So one of the first things that drew into the hobby was like all these key set options that were coming out the last several months. And I just kind of want to go as crazy as possible because, why not?
Stuff holds on to value. Why not?
Yeah.
So top 4 favorite boards.
This is the easiest because I have 4 dream boards. I own 2 currently. Number 1 is just the classic like TGR Jane. This actually got me into the hobby, which is a whole story in itself. But I have a Jane 1.5 Proto that's like rose pink. It's so nice. I'm gonna grab it real quick. I love it.
We love people showing off stuff.
So,
159. Thank you for the 1,000 bits, my dude.
At the back here, raw brass. That's my favorite, probably. Second is my wife got me a TX 75 V2. That like alternative 75 format is my favorite format.
I have a question about that board later.
Sure, you can ask away. This guy right
there. You go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the alternative. Like 75% layouts are my favorite. Third, I just ordered, and I'm so happy that I got into this raffle. The Flex Virgo. I got that in purple, and that's gonna be. I don't know. I might get that board and just leave the hobby We don't know yet. And then the last one, I've been always looking for like a good full size. I really like the Duck Jetfire. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's like the 1800 kind of clustered format, but I think it's pretty tied between that and like Heine's CP that I just rolled out, and then the Austin Drifting Bunnies' Austin. I like all those boards. So the fourth slot goes to like, it's still open, but a good full size 1800 CP board. We'll see which one I like. I'm going to test a bunch out at KeyCon.
I recommend getting in on the Austin.
Yeah, the round 2, I'm pretty excited about. I want to see what colors he picks. If he has at least one that's like kind of off the cuff, midnight green or who knows what color it might be, I might jump in on that.
Hell yeah. Can't recommend that. It's funny, I've gotten a lot of cool stuff in, and even though we live 20 minutes away, Osiris and I just like haven't seen each other.
We were supposed to see each other
since
this
like
weekend,
my birthday. So
I need to not be sick. That's the main thing.
Yeah, dude, vitamin C, bro. I wanted a quick shout out to someone in the chat. Where were they? Dutch Master. Thank you for following the Zap Cable guide. That video still does like really well for us. Like whenever we're like, oh, we'll look at like our statistics, and it's like, what's still doing well? It's like the video that released yesterday, the video that released last week, and the Zap video we did like 6 months ago. Still pulling strong numbers. But so thank you for watching that.
Yeah, I gotta get into cables sometime. I haven't touched custom cables, and I saw that video and I want to check it out more.
Yeah, it's like the last little bit to really bring the setup together.
Yeah.
So
and cheaper than artisans.
Very, yeah, a lot cheaper than artisans. I started trying to like look into artisans and stuff, and I'm just like, nope, don't do this. Do not do this, Eric.
Yeah, I have like committal issues. So if I choose a cable and I choose my key set on the board, like what do? I just got to keep buying cables. I'm not ready to fall in that like mini.
That's what Zap wants you to think.
Yeah, right. Last but not least of the fast four, your top 4 favorite foods.
Yeah, I had to like figure this one out. So favorite is a tough word for me because I generally like a lot of things, but these are the foods that I think I crave all the time. Number one's pizza, like all types. If it's got mozzarella and tomato sauce. Like even like when I was, I don't know if they still make these anymore, but when I was a kid, they had those Lunchables with like
the
cardboard
pizza
circle and like the ketchup like goo that you put on there. I love those. Yeah, pizza of all kind. Second one is like chili, good hearty tomato chili. I could eat that for every meal. Japanese curry, especially with like a chicken cutlet or something, is I could do that every meal too. I would never get sick. And the last one is something, I don't know if it's my favorite food, but I always crave it because I only get to eat it like once or twice a year when I visit Korea. But it's not as crazy as it sounds, but it's spicy pig's feet. It's kind of like the lower part of a pig's leg, like really chewy. And it's made in this like super spicy sweet sauce that your stomach's gonna hurt for 5 days afterwards. But that's one of my favorites. But
I'm down for spice that ruins your stomach.
Yeah. It's a good stress reliever.
It's like the I don't know the name of it because I couldn't even tell you the country of origin, but there's like the ramen that's like deathly spicy. It's got like the chicken on it on the front that's like bright red. I'm like, oof, that's a spice that makes you want to die for 3 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid list, man. Pizza. Can't go wrong with pizza.
Dude,
no.
So good.
What's your favorite favorite type of pizza? Like deep dish.
New York style, greasy cheese and pepperoni.
Yeah.
The ones where you fold. You have to fold it to eat it.
Yeah. Otherwise it'll just like slide
There's
off.
a pizza place near, actually it's closer to Osiris now. That's just like they have, for whatever reason, they have my favorite pizza, and then on top of that, they have amazing chicken wings.
Mm.
It's
So I'll
just a
go
good
get 'em.
restaurant. It's like a hole in the wall.
It's a hole in the wall mom and pop shop that I actually grew up like 2 streets over from the guy that owns it.
Mm.
And it's just everything they make is just delicious.
Yeah,
It's
it's like one of those places that they could move to like a bigger restaurant, but they don't want to. Like the owner, like you go and the owner's just sitting outside smoking a cigar, just like
it's just like, "What's up, man? How's
What's
it
up?"
going?" You're like, "What's up, dude?"
the line's
He's-
like
and
out the door.
His like he is the quintessential just like large balding Italian.
Yeah.
Just wears like Hawaiian shirts and bowling shirts and shorts.
Yeah, and it's like hard to find. Like it's in a shopping center behind another shopping center behind a church.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's really good. Pizza for me, I enjoy New York style as well. I'm also really liking I really like Neapolitan pizza. So like my family, I'm Italian myself, and my family is from, like my dad lived in Pisa for a long time, and that style of pizza is real popular down there. The like not real heavy and it be more about the lighter toppings. So
shout out, thank you 001 Anthony for the raid. Definitely appreciate that. We frequently call him the Godfather. he's a fun guy. So if you guys, for those joining, we have Sleek from Sleekeyboards, sleekeyboards.com. It's a great place to check out all of the latest stuff. And for those who are here who do not know who 001 Anthony, he is an amazing streamer and one of the longest running streamers. One of the longest running keyboard streamers and a funny guy. And if you want to talk about food and customizing your bathroom as well as keyboards, go hit up 001 Anthony. That's just one of my favorite conversations, is talking about how to improve the bathroom experience.
Well, all right.
Anyway, so I feel like I cut you off with the pizza though. My apologies, Cyrus.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm done.
Noted. All right, so what I'm curious about is you've obviously been in the hobby for a while. I don't know exactly how long, but when did you get in the hobby? How did you get in the hobby? What was the key set you saw that was like, that's the one? There's my tipping point.
So me getting in the hobby wasn't really a decision. It was kind of like a stroke of luck or fate. And I haven't been in the hobby that long. It's been about, I think, a little bit less than a year. So I guess long story short, I started a company with a friend a couple of years ago. This was like 2017. And a lot of the initial work was typing. So we just had to do a lot of content, newsletters, social media. And I was doing like a couple thousand words a day. And fast forward about a year and a half, I think like beginning of last year, I started getting a lot of like wrist pains and arm pains. Because for anyone that owns a MacBook Pro from the last couple of years, it is probably the biggest failure of humanity in the last couple decades. Like it's just the worst thing. I might not get another MacBook after this. It's just, I was having shooting pains and it was just god awful. And so I thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. Obviously, if I'm having this problem, what are like writers doing? What is everyone else doing? And I was working with another office at the time, and one of the guys there, a new friend of mine, had the craziest looking thing on his desk. And so I pointed at it. I was like, what is that? He explained to me that it was an Ergodox. That was my entry into the space. And he said, if your hands hurt, check out the subreddit. He sent me a bunch of links. He sent me the Ergodox site. I spent like a week or two learning about it. And then I bought an An Pro 2 for my house and a Kira Kono for my office for me and my partner.
The 96Q one?
Yeah. The compact 1800.
Solid board.
Yeah, I use that. That's like hot swap. It's great. Testing board, breaking switches. And at that point, I thought I was done. It's like, for me, it was like a mouse review. You find something you like, you feel good, you're done. And I have a tendency to get addicted to new hobbies, so I was like, I'm gonna stay away from this one because it looks like the RMK is a little wild and crazy, so I'm gonna stay away from this.
Didn't work out for you that well.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out because a couple months later we had KeyCon in New York. It was a free event right in Midtown, a little bit away from me. And so I told my wife, like, let's just go check it out. If we don't like it, we'll get some food in K-Town. Let's just, whatever, it's free. We go, I'm checking everything out. I see like Nathan Kim in the distance. I like just talking to a couple people, trying out boards. And they had their kind of raffle giveaway, right? That they do at the end of every event. And I was like, I told my wife, let's sign up. We'll come back, hang out a little bit more. Let's see what we get. We ended up getting a bunch of prizes, and that Jane that I just showed you was the #1 prize. And I'm holding this thing, and I have no idea what it is. And people are coming up to me. They're like congratulating me, telling me what PCB to get, what switches to try. Like I have no idea what they're saying. And I brought it home. I had seen TGR stuff on Reddit, and I'm holding this thing thinking like, okay, I could probably sell this for $300, maybe. I'm glad I didn't sell it.
I'm so glad you did not.
I was like,
that would be talked about forever.
Forever, probably. Yeah, it would probably gone in like 0.5 seconds.
I like to think that the hobby's nice enough that someone would contact you and be like, take that down. I'm going to learn you something real quick.
Yeah.
Add a 0.
Yeah. But then I thought, why not? I've done soldering in the past. Like, let's try it out. Let's see where it goes. Worst case, I can just sell it afterwards. It seems like mech market is active. Little did I know. And so I built it with Holy Pandas. Like, I talked to Heine about getting the PCB. I learned how to lube switches, do Holy Panda. And by the end of it, I was like hooked. And that was over the course of like 6 months. I think I've built, 5 or 6 boards for like friends and family. It's just like a fun thing to do. And then the hobby, I think like the last 6 months of last year was when things started getting out of control. And then I started thinking about, what could I do more in this hobby? If I'm checking Geek Hack and Reddit for like an hour a day, I might as well do something else with this hobby. And that's kind of like the first thoughts around Sleekeyboards.
Dude, that's so awesome to hear, because I feel like
that's an amazing entrance story.
Yeah. Well, like we always joke about how like someone could start with a TGR or a key cult, right? Like,
yeah,
there are a lot of people in this hobby who have, a significant amount of disposable income that they can put into a board, but not everyone should. It was cool to hear that you started with like the tippy top. Like, and you got
really not much. There's not much else. You can really only go laterally or down.
Yeah. You started up here, but it got you into the community. Like, it's what
started from the top. Now I'm here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I think it was a sign. It's like, shut up, get in this hobby. You're gonna be a part of this, whether you like it or not. And there's no going back. Like, I had this thing on my desk, and I'm just thinking, there's no way I'm going to stare at this keyboard for the next 10, 20, whatever years, and then not think about building more keyboards. So I kind of like gave up. I sold all my like MTG cards, and I'm just deeper in the hobby now.
Yes. I knew we were, I was like, we had it.
I sold my Magic the Gathering cards and bought a TX60 last year. So
nice.
I feel you.
I knew we were friends for a reason.
What format though? Like, what format were you standard, or were you like modern?
I was big on modern, and a little bit into legacy. So luckily, I had a lot of cards that retained its value after a year or two. But I couldn't do anything. Like in New York, for me to go play Magic, I have to commute like an hour, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I can more. So I put them away in a box, and then keyboards came around, and I'm like, all right, I can move this hobby to this hobby. And that's all she wrote. Yeah.
Our thing was we couldn't play Magic at our local game store without it being like the most competitive thing ever. Every Friday Night Magic was like a PTQ.
It was literally, there were over 100 people every single. It was the largest game store in America.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
was like a block away from us.
They
so
had
when
like
you go, it's like,
400
it's like
people.
100. There was literally
What?
like an 80-person modern tournament and a 120-person standard tournament every single Friday
At the same time?
at the same time. This place was huge. It used to be what was it called?
It used to be a Pizza Planet.
Pizza Planet. Thank you. I keep saying Pizza Palace, but I'm like, no, that's not it.
The place was so big, it used to have like rides inside of it.
Oh my god.
It was,
but yeah, it was nuts. It's Madness Comics and Games. If anyone out there wants to search that up, Madness Comics and Games. It's nuts.
See, Drifting Bunnies knows. So yeah, I just, I guess now going from what would honestly be considered, especially at that time, like god tier boards of a TGR Jane with Holy Pandas and a nice PCB, like lubed Holy Pandas. Where did you, I know you've got some more board. Where do you go from there? Like, I feel like at what point is it like, obviously you're always going to have that board and that's always going to be that board, and new things are always fun, but like, that's just, I don't know how you go from that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I was just curious about the rest of the hobby. Like I built it with Holy Pandas, and then all these great linears started coming out, and then all these great other formats started coming out, and I just thought, I'm getting a little bored of this thing. And I wasn't getting bored of the TGR board, but like I wanted to kind of switch it up. I was envious of people who had like, multiple boards and they could switch it around. And I had tried a bunch of keycons, so I was like, oh, I really want to build one like that or like that. And yeah, at that point, I was just kind of experimenting for a couple of months. I built a SKB 75, the like bent iron board from Germany. That's a great board. He's doing his like round 2 soon, so I would definitely hop in on that. But yeah, kind of just experimenting, see what I could do. I knew that I had like a financial limit on what I could do. And there's also a time limit because there's only so much you can buy in a certain time span. So that's what kind of brought me to thinking like, all right, I'm kind of from the startup world. What could I do in this hobby that kind of gets my keyboard juju flowing, and I don't have to like go bankrupt in the process? And so I guess that transitions nicely to like the website. But I essentially thought, what's a resource that I would use if it existed when I first started? And the obvious answer was a compilation site of everything that's going on. Because like you guys said, like a normal person, when you really look at the perspective of a newcomer, and I think people who are deep in the hobby can get kind of like submersed very quickly, and they forget what it's like to be a newbie. To use Reddit, to use Geekhack is like almost impossible. To use Reddit is pretty difficult for most people. Like even myself, I'm not 100% versed in like what to do on Reddit or what not to do. And so you're thinking like, for the person that watches their favorite like Fortnite streamer, or they see, a Teja Types video, like how are they going to get into the hobby? Especially if they're not, if they're not well versed in these particular formats or websites. So that was kind of like the start.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
because I feel like the keyboard hobby is so much different than everything else as far as like advertising. Like there's no algorithm to Geekhack. There's no algorithm to the way Reddit is posted. Like it's all just there. So it's not like you're being fed something of like, hey, you searched this thing one time, like this niche part about this one thing, and now here's this product that perfectly matches it.
Yeah.
You don't have that in this hobby. It's just like, it's just there. And I feel like Sleekeyboards is something that like makes that easier for someone. It's easier to look at. It's easier to kind of discern what's going on. It's just like kind of a one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
go ahead. No, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, I guess just a quick note. Like before I started Sleek, I was creating these spreadsheets on like when a group buy was happening, what the prices were, where I could buy it, so I could just compare and make sure that I personally made a good purchase that I wouldn't regret, right, or spend too much money. And so then at a certain point, I thought if I use this, maybe some other people will too. So I turned that spreadsheet basically into a website, and yeah, there we are.
I mean, it's flawless. Like, it's simple, and really, what's the understated part is the fact that there are pictures. Like, that's something that I just don't think a lot of a lot of the times I was getting stuff either from following Top Clack for a while, or going on trying to follow through Discord, and then there were a couple like Google Forms that would have the lists, but that's very it's I say, oh, Google Forms is primitive, but like in the world of being able to have a website like Sleekeyboards, it's like, why would I go somewhere else when I want to know, like, hey, what's going on right now? And like you said, being someone that's new and someone that's kind of going, hey, like, I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that I can't just buy stuff and then it ship, that I have to give someone money and hope they deliver in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, very informative. I went through and I was excited to read through all of it. And then being able to kind of go, oh, what are the fun boards in here? And so just being able to look through, I really appreciate, by the way, the creator section. That was, you reached out to us and I was like, hell yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that part out a little bit because I realize there's so many more creators than what I was watching. So I got to like figure out a better way to kind of archive them and present them. But yeah.
So, and it's just, I know about most of these boards, but I still visit this website at least once a week. It's literally like saved in one of my folders.
Oh, nice.
Bookmark. So I enjoy being able to go and see what's happening, because even then, like, I don't really check Geekhack as much because our Discord a lot of times someone will go, hey, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? And oftentimes when stuff will get IC'd and I'll learn about it and then I won't even know that it goes to group buy, and then someone's like, oh, when is this in group buy? And I'm like, oh, right now.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal of the group buy section is like, what's the easiest way to get this information to people? Like, yes, there's Geekhack. You can like open every tab, look through it, see if it's in group buy. Even the group buy tab, there's so many group buys that are done. The vast majority are done already. So that section is a little bit difficult to navigate. But I really wanted a site, and the Instagram tries to mimic that, like where you can scroll through and they know exactly in 10 seconds what's available right now. I could probably do a better job of keeping up to date, especially for some of these like flash sales. But the general idea is I can scroll through this and then think, oh yeah, there's that key set. I'm going to log on and get that right now. And I think that's a little bit difficult on the other existing sites. So just making it more kind of consumer friendly and facing.
Well, I think you knocked it out of the park. Like, this is something that I'm excited to, to be able to direct new people in the hobby to, hey, all you have to do is follow this, get on their newsletter, and you might not be updated with every single little thing.
Yeah.
But you're going to get 90% of what you need. And, for someone new in the hobby who's just kind of like, well, I'm kind of, I enjoy seeing what options there are, and who didn't take the, you're on page 19 of Geekhack. Like, you don't have to worry about that. But
yeah,
I'm really excited to see that your website go really, succeed really, really well, and just really well. So, but I want to talk about end game, because that to me is a funny term, because that means that so for those who don't know, end game is basically the idea of like, I get this and I'm done. I'm in. I've reached the end of the hobby because I can go no further. And what better person to talk about end game than someone who got what most people's in-game board is right from the get-go. So my question is, what does in-game mean to you?
End game to me is a keyboard that just works for you, right? Like it has all the parts, you're happy with it. It just has the experience, and it doesn't have to be the final keyboard you get. But I think the way information flows right now, it's like almost impossible to get your end game in that definition. It's like it's like you get a board and there's a new key set out, you get that, and then there's a board out, and a new key set out, and everything's kind of overlapping, and it's hard to kind of like figure out exactly what you want, especially in the beginning. And so for end game for me is just like I said, I had 4 dream boards. Each of them I picture as a certain color and a certain key set with a certain plate, certain switches, a certain sound profile. And I think if there were more resources that got people thinking that way, they would be like, yes, this is my damn keyboard. I'm happy with it. This reflects me. I'm super excited about it. And that's kind of why I think this hobby becomes a whirlwind for people. Like they're never kind of figuring out what their favorite boards are, and that's fine for a lot of people. But I think for a large quantity of people who are looking at this hobby from afar, they're like, oh, I don't want to go near this tornado because I'm going to get sucked in forever. If we can help them get to a spot and they feel confident in their purchase and what they've built, then I think we're going to hit a huge demographic that we're not quite tapping into yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like why I use that term endgame. Whenever I think of a board that I want to build, and the reason I built this kind of site was to know, like, all right, if I get this kind of color board, if I get the purple Virgo, oh, Future Funk, that one might look really good on this. And then with that plate, these switches might sound really good. And it just kind of helps me orient and navigate through all these group buys and interest checks and the schedule and budgeting. And my hope for the website, and it's far from finished, is to kind of get people to that point where they can spend a little time, learn a little bit, explore a little bit, and then they can make a confident purchase about, their entry into the space or their next keyboard build. That's kind of like, my long-winded endgame answer.
Oh, I mean, it's a great answer. Yeah, and I think, Cyrus and I have talked about this a lot because what we try and do is in game, at least for me, is being able to look at a board from the top down and bottom up as well and go, I'm done with
it. Yeah.
The board fits the caps. It's got the switches I like. If no maintenance was ever required, I would never disassemble this board. I would never. It's done. And I've got, at this point in time, probably one that I'm 100% like, this is it, and I'm done, which is my Fiel. Everything else, I'm like, it could, keycaps could change, switches might change, who knows? But that's what we kind of try and strive for, is that, like, get this board exactly how you want it and perfect, and you can't imagine it a better way. And then go on to something else, because then you realize we're like, well, I like more. So if I like more than one switch, I'm going to get another.
Right.
Yeah, because we've had the conversation of Grail versus in game, right? Like you can have your holy Grail boards that are like the ones that you dream about, the ones that have been not untouchable, but ones that are, you're like, you see that and you're like, man, I would love to have that. I would absolutely, like for you, Chewy, I know it was one of them was the Fiel that you now have.
Yep.
Which is not an unattainable board by any means.
It's actually quite easy to get.
I need to get a Fiel, by the way.
It's an amazing board.
Yeah, I've heard from many people it's like a sounding board. So I want to try it out.
Hype train incoming.
Ooh,
what does that mean?
Quick shout outs. We've got 3 subs. So we've got Big Buck Nut, 3 months tier 1, Functional 5 months tier 1, and Mr. Petrov for 8 months. Thank you. We really appreciate it. But yeah, I don't think there's actually anything that could be considered a in-game board as far as like this is the end all be all.
This is the last board. I could see myself owning like if I'm ever get to the point where I'm like, I'm done, I'm gonna sell 90% of everything, keep like 2 or 3 boards, and get rid of one. That would be hard because I'd be like offing your children, but that's one of those decisions that I'd love to say that I'm doing this forever, but someone mentioned earlier, until we can type with our mind, like keyboards are here to stay.
Yeah.
So
I watch just real quick. I watch a lot of Black Mirror, and some of
yeah.
them, they have like those projection keyboards
Mhm.
on like tables and stuff. I'm like, why would you go to that? Why? That's the worst thing in the world. Anyway,
just
sorry.
like after hit your table like more than 20 times,
Why would you hit
and
your
you'll realize
marble?
how terrible that is.
Yeah, it sounds
Jeff
horrible.
Leopard, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. And level 1 complete. I've seen this like once in my life. But so I guess some of those, like the Austin is one where I'm like, I could see, if I'm getting out of the hobby, I love 60%, but the Austin's one that I'll always keep because it's a full size board and it's got everything that I would ever need out of a keyboard. So it's, I could see that kind of be showing in game, but yeah, Grails versus in game is something a little different.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't, what's funny is ever since getting the Fiel, I can't really think of another in-game board other than designing one.
Well, and I think the reason why in-game is a hard thing to answer, a hard thing to put, like to put a board to 100% label it as the end-all be-all, is because the community almost reinvents itself every couple months, every year, with a new thing. Last year gaskets got really big. The year before that, polycarbonate was really big. And so when we keep having those things change, it makes it to where your tastes change. And I think that's one of those things that comes back to the reason why Sleekeyboards website is so great, is because, like you said, for those new people, as someone who's been in the hobby for a while, I can look at an interest check and I can tell within about like 10 seconds if I'm going to buy something or not. Someone who's new doesn't have that. They need a website where they can see everything and they can decide, whereas Sleekeyboards can provide them with that.
Yeah, even it takes me a full month. Like, I don't wait to buy key sets until the end of the month, where I'm 100% certain. Like, I know what kind of board is going on. I'm really committed to this key set. I'm not wavering on it. And I think part of it is also the reason why I use the word endgame is because it's hard to, for me personally, if there's a lot of hype around a key set or board, it doesn't feel like I'm making a very objective choice for myself, right? And so naturally, when we see something on Geek Hack or Reddit trending or whatever it might be, you think like, oh, there's a little bit of FOMO. I want to get on this. I wanted to create kind of a separate space where you could look at things objectively and see, oh, I like this board, not because of how many upvotes it got or how trending it is, but because I like this board. And it's kind of like in this white box, like, I don't know, a gallery wall kind of thing. And I think it helps people kind of like, for a lot of us, we can kind of see something like you said, it's 10 seconds, if you're going to buy it or not. But yeah, again, imagine if you're just coming into the hobby and there are 30 key sets and you have no idea where to look or what to do in this scenario. So that's kind of like what I generally encourage too. It's like figuring out what keyboard do you want, you yourself, what key set, what build, and that it's a personal end game. It's just a completely subjective thing, not driven so much by external factors. So that's kind of a big part of the consideration there.
Yeah, because it's awesome to be able, especially for key sets, right? Like, because that's a lot of times where there may be, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5 key sets that you're looking at in 1 month, and you can only get 1 or 2 of them. Having a website like yours to be able to just like quickly just see pictures of them side by side, it makes it that much easier to be like, okay, I actually like this one better. Like you seeing that just next to each other. It just makes it that much easier.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. Do you plan on doing like a gallery of just as all the keycaps?
I don't even know how many keycaps.
I mean,
so
there are a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure that would be a quite the task. But I think that would be a fun little thing of just being able to go through and look at every single one and be like, hey, this is a really cool idea. So
yeah, I do. It might not be on the same page as these group buys, or it might be like a pretty sectioned off part of the site. But I do want to create an archive of some kind. Maybe at least the ones that I've put up here since I've started in the last month and a half. Because also one way I've started to use it is looking at like what the trends are in the community, which this helps me kind of figure out, like what are the colorway trends, what are the format trends, and it might be helpful to like keycap designers who they want a black and pink key set. Oh, there's actually Olivia just stopped, and then we have Jim K. Pono coming up, and so I'm thinking about how else it could be a resource. So I'm playing around with those ideas, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I've bitten off a lot more than I can chew, I think, with consistency. But we'll figure something out.
I don't, if as long to me, I'm like, if this stays up to date, at least with group buys alone, there's no way this will fail.
Yeah, I hope it can stay a good resource for people. Yeah, we'll see.
So we when we started Mechs on Deck, we wanted something to kind of help beginners, and so we really love seeing people who are doing things that can help someone come in and go, what am I supposed to do here? Because you're like, I love that picture. I know people that joined this community because they saw a Rama M60 with a keycap set that did not exist. It was a render, and they're like, oh, I joined because of this. How do I get this? I'm like, well, and this was like right after the sequence 1, I guess is what the original run of the M60 A ran. It was like it was probably it was before sequence 2 was announced, and I was like, GCAC, I mean, they're not GCAC, but Mech Market, like, good luck. They're like $600, and then they're like, oh, 600 for everything. I'm like, no, that's just the case, and the PCB. And they're like, well, how much are switches? I'm like, well, they range. And they're like, well, how much are good switches? I'm like $80. And then they're like, oh, caps. I'm like, that's another 150 to 200, and that's if you get like a non-hyped set.
So, yeah, welcome to Keyboards. You describing this, it's like making me want to leave the hobby right now.
Sorry, for those who left, I'm sorry, but you know what? You can also thank me later when you're like, "Hey, I bought a house the other day because I didn't buy a keyboard because of you." You're welcome. So, Jinly Bean, welcome. You should check out Jinly Bean. She's an amazing artist.
She is.
So she designed the "Be Right Back" Chewy logo on the Chewy build streams. So check her out. So another thing that I want to, where do you see Sleekeyboards going? I don't, if you don't have to give away what you plan on doing or anything like that. Although if you'd like to share some upcoming stuff, that'd be great. But where do you see it going?
Well, I guess if I had to describe kind of the mission of the website, it's to create a new doorway into the hobby. Maybe because what you described, Chewy, is like someone new who's already coming into the hobby, right? And you have to tell them, unfortunately, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you have to go to Mech Market to get what you want. And that's like the worst thing to tell somebody. And it's going to turn away a lot of people. But then even one step back, it's like, how can we reach a broader audience to come into the community? Because I think this hobby is on the kind of, it's like right on the precipice of becoming an industry, right? Like it's getting big enough. There's enough talent now. There are more and more entrepreneurs and designers coming in. And if it becomes an economy, we all benefit from it, right? We have lots more competition, choice, innovation, everything, like more inventory and lower prices, faster shipping, everything. So it's I'm also looking at it as how can we bring more people who may be in fashion or design or in esports into the hobby, because there's obviously a ton of overlap. We just have to be able to amplify that message in the right way. So that's generally the kind of idea that I'm playing with. And kind of I'm just having fun with the website and the Instagram and the newsletter. But I've started to work with more people, like shout out to the Key Company. They reached out to me shortly after I started, and they're like, it looks like you're trying to do something a little bit different. And so I explained what I was trying to do, and they're like, let's start collaborating. So we're working on something fun right now, which will hopefully start to change the landscape a bit on how people come into the space and how do they start, right? Like if you're starting from Reddit, that's a tough sell. That's a tough sell for most people. And we probably underestimate how many people don't enter the hobby because those doorways are just too small for them, right? So that's generally what I want to do. I guess specifics. I focus a lot on the Instagram, and I send out a weekly newsletter each Wednesday, looking at different themes, trying to play with like what's on sale or fun pictures people have put up. I want to expand more into content that people can kind of see. So I think, and one of the influences, my cousin who site, he was a big sneakerhead years back. And so when I showed him all this keyboard stuff, he was saying like, oh, where's all the content? It's like, oh, well, there's, RMK. It's like, no. Where are the interviews? Where are the fashion photos? Where's the advertising? Where is the engagement? Where is the inside look behind the scenes? And I'm thinking, oh man, people have got to start doing all this stuff, because one, that's going to propel the hobby further, and two, there's giant market opportunities for people to do that kind of thing. And so I'm going to try some of that stuff as well, and we'll see what happens. But kind of in the short term, like today's giveaway, I want to do more fun things that get excited, get people into the community, create lower the barrier for people to hop over into the space. And yeah, because right now I think the barrier is a little bit too high, if I can be honest. And I think people, whether they're content creators like you guys or vendors or designers, if we can all kind of help lower that barrier or create new openings, it's gonna, like, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year there's 1 million subscribers to RMK, based on the trajectory we're going at right now. And I think hopefully people see this kind of interview and think about it this way, then we'll see these content creators come in, or journalists, or who knows what there could be. And then the hobby will kind of just start to really, really expand, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, we'll see. If you guys have any ideas of what I should do, let me know. The chat has any ideas. I'm just having fun and trying to figure it out as I go.
I think it's interesting because I feel like there's two groups of people, right? There are the people who are down for a more commercialization of the hobby, because they can see the possibilities, like what you were talking about, of how it can really explode and become its own industry. And then there are some people that are like, but I want it to just be a couple of like small tight-knit groups and it not be this big giant thing. And I think we can even have, like, it can still maintain that. Like, it can still maintain that even at a high commercial level. Like, it just might not be the same. Your small group of 10 might become 50, but even then it's going to make it better for everyone.
Yeah, I think there can be both, to be honest. We see in all big hobbies, there are niches of that hobby. Like, I mean, already in this hobby, we have, there's like a niche for the artisans. There's a niche for ortho boards. There's a niche for the vintage boards with like Kairos-san, and like people will, everyone likes that, community vibe that's in the hobby right now. And I think that's not necessarily because of the size of the community. It's because of the nature of the hobby, right? Like, we like to share information. We like to, we can't all buy every board, so we have to like compare between each other. It brings us together. I think that's what makes us different than like esports or Magic the Gathering, for example. Like Magic the Gathering, everybody can buy every deck and like everybody's cutthroat about it. I think the nature of the hobby, and this is what really drew me to it, it's super creative, it's super collectible. There's so much innovation to be had here. I think that'll help maintain, and as long as we're not overly toxic or whatever, it'll help maintain the kind of little small town aspect of the hobby that we all like. At the same time, I mean, if you compare right now with a year ago, we have so much more choice. We have lower prices. We have better innovation. We have. I wish there were more keyboard group buys, but compared to last year, it is like a different world. Mm-hmm. But we all still have that kind of same vibe around. Not that much has changed. It's not like, oh God, like Logitech came in and completely spoiled it for all of us. I think we'll still keep that, and I think we should all kind of like test the limits on what can happen if we push the boundaries.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we're really limited is size of group buys and stuff getting pushed back and timelines, because I look at the well, I always go blank on the name of this freaking board. The 60% gasket from KBD fans. Polaris.
Yeah.
I look at that as kind of like the poster child of this community and its ability to grow and its ability to also stab itself in the back. Because it's a great board. Well, we assume it's a great board. Mathematically, and on paper, it's a great board. But there's a reason, and obviously people are hyped for it. There's no way you can sell 700 of something at over $100, $200. This is a $300 board or less. And they sold over I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was over 700. And they immediately were like, we're already going to have to delay this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and then of course, unfortunately with everything that's happening right now, it's just even more and more delayed. And so it's just one of those things that's like, a lot's going to happen for us to kind of kick this hobby into the next gear.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, I think, I think I would love to start seeing, maybe I look at a board like the Kira 96 and I look at a board like the GMMK boards. And I'm like, those are boards that have the potential to really go into the hobby and get people in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of those boards could use, like, I wish that we could get with some of the designers in this hobby, get with those people and go, hey, let's work together and let's refine these things and make them where everybody that's been in the hobby for 3, 4, or 5 years don't just immediately say no or hate them because it's not a $700 keyboard. And let's make them look a little bit, let's make them look a little bit better. Let's put some better parts in it, and trying to compete with, okay, well, what are you competing with? Well, the Corsairs and the Razors that are anywhere between $100 and $150. If you can try and get that stuff out at $150 or even $200, because I feel like that's a fair step up of going from, hey, do you want something out of the box or do you want something a little bit more custom and that you can customize? If you can keep it at $200, that board is way easier to sell than, hey, you have to go into this custom world where you have to build your own board and you have to do this, that, and whatever. And I think that's the only way I think I can see this really taking off in that route, is lower priced options and the fact that we can't keep up with the demand right now.
Yeah, we're going to experience a lot of bumpy roads ahead. That's for sure. The Polaris is a great example. But there are also signs that we're starting to really stretch the domain of the hobby. So, for example, GMK bought a new manufacturing production machine. It looks like JTK is coming back in the scene a little bit. The key company is basically working with a factory for Infinikey. So, yes, there are kind of like KBD Fans is a big and smart company. They'll figure it out. And they're probably not going to repeat the same thing again. They might lower the cap or they'll partner with different manufacturers. I think the market will find a way to balance itself out. But we're definitely going to have these points where like, ooh, maybe there shouldn't be 2,000 base kits of this key set because it pushed back things like 18 months or whatever. But I think that these are also the market opportunities I think that people can jump into. Like not everybody has to be a keyboard or key set designer. Like if you look at what Jack Static is doing, he's setting up his own manufacturing in the US, and like people are trying these new things, and I think that will help lower the price points, lower the barriers. And I guess again, I'll call it in 12 months. I think we'll be looking at a very different breakdown of the hobby. The prices will be different, the variety will be different, and I think hopefully we'll just keep kind of going that direction.
Yeah, Brez brings up a good point, and honestly, that's one of those things where it's like, is that a bad thing? I mean, that obviously is a bad thing, but it's also kind of a sign that you're starting to make it.
Scammers.
When scammers, when there is money to be made in this hobby, that's not like that's some people might be afraid to say it or whatever. I'm not saying, but like there's money to be made. There's a reason that there are people who are vendors full time. Like they obviously make enough money to not have to have a side job supporting themselves. So like money is, yes, you can make money in this hobby. And when people, unfortunately scammers exist, but that's also one of those things that I think about. I'm like, when you start seeing more and more of that stuff, it's like, well, it's starting to catch on to the people that spend more money. And it's starting to, you're never going to have a hobby that is amazing and large and huge, and you can have all these things without attracting people that are only in it to screw other people over. I like to think that there are kind of safeguards with, we've talked about a lot about this on the show about, hey, don't if you see someone that's like running a group buy, that's someone you've never heard before, be cautious, and we've talked about trying to put those safeguards and people, just being open about these group buy situations. Cause yes, it's a scary thing. Another thing that we've, talked about, not only do you have to give money and some of these are vendors, but some of these boards, you're like, hey, I see this board. And you're like, yeah, that's just some dude that lives out in like Montana who's got a big ass garage. Yeah. And he's going to call some other guy from the other side of the world and send him an email. And then they're going to ship a bunch of metal across the world. And then you just kind of have to hope that he sends you this box of metal. And so it's like, that's another thing that's kind of confusing to people, that it's like, and that's how Key Cult started. That's how a lot of these awesome vendors are just like, I made a board, people liked it, I kept going. So accurate that there are not a lot of individual group buys anymore because they're making the smart decision and going with vendors that can appropriately and accurately run the group buy. And to me, that's the smart way to do it.
Yeah, like this hobby is filled with a lot of smart people, and the kind of silver lining to, I mean, scammers, there will be a point where making a fake TGR and selling it is profitable, and scammers will do that.
We've already seen that.
Yeah, exactly. So
I forgot what the company was, but we saw that. So.
Yeah, I remember when it first came in, there was like a weird like TGR engraved board, and people weren't sure if it was fake or not. But yeah, Brez, like he's saying it right here, in larger hobbies, people, because they're passionate about it and they're smart, they'll form, their own groups or become, have their own products and services that will help combat that. And yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it might just be unfeasible for an individual to run a group buy, and that's okay. Like if you have to go through a storefront, you're protected by party payment service. You get a refund if you don't get the product back. Like we might get to that point as well. So there's kind of a silver lining. Like obviously we can't have all the good and not the bad. But that's also a good market opportunity for people to like tighten up, be more professional. Key Cult is at the top for a reason. They're super professional. They're super communicative. It's great products. They hold streams. They have a Discord. Like they hit all the boxes, and hopefully that pulls up a lot of other vendors with them. And I think it has over the last several months, and that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's like both ends of the spectrum, right? Like the Polaris hitting all the marks for people in what it provided at the price point it did, and then Keycult coming in and doing a lot of different things that really brought up the experience of purchasing a keyboard from them. Like those two things simultaneously made everyone in the middle be like, "Oh crap, we got to do better."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's a good for most of us who are consumers. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
That's a great thing.
That's the best thing, right?
Yeah.
That, and then you know, I know Drifting Buddies is talking about how not a lot of individuals are running group buys. I've said this before, is like as the community gets bigger, we touched on how we can still remain in our small little communities within this giant hobby if it becomes a huge industry. The private group buy system has flourished. I feel like there's tons and tons of things that are going private where they're running, 10, 20, 15 of them, and
trying it out.
It's making it possible for someone to start a design and maybe keep something that they want to do small, and then run a bigger run later. I think that's kind of the future, right? If you want to get started in design, doing private buys, doing one-offs or small buys, and then go through, have vendors run the larger buys, because when a vendor runs the buy, there's a little bit more of a certainty that it's going to happen on a timely manner. Things are going to be a little bit more professional.
So, yeah, and just to touch on another thing you had mentioned was, content alone. Like if you look at what's on Twitch and what's on YouTube, it's quadrupled, if not more, the amount of stuff. I mean, when we hopped in, we were like, okay, well, we know who we are competing with. At the end of the day, yes, we are competing, but none of these people were like, I can't wait to take these guys down. But
only on the inside.
Even only on the inside. Only when I'm falling asleep and panicking. But the amount of like keyboard builders is growing substantially, and that's great to see. And it makes us, there's, and looking forward, looking back with Mechs on Deck alone, we're like, okay, we got to keep up. What can we offer that no one else is offering? What can we do that other people aren't doing? Because if we keep doing the same thing, people either will get bored, or we're not going to ever grow. We might sustain, which neither of us are. That we want to be driven enough to go, oh, what can we do better? And then on top of that, it's like you don't want to get bored of what you're doing. And so like we like the competition. We like the fact that we kind of go, it puts us in this like corner of like, okay, what do we do? What's the next thing? What's the next thing that we can do? And we've got the best stuff that we can do is stuff that we haven't really reviewed, or the stuff that we're most excited to do is stuff that we haven't said much of, because it's just moving forward.
Yeah, no, I think your guys' videos, not the gas, is the first that I started watching, and then shortly after, like Top Clack, because from my background as a designer and part of a startup, I want to get into like the deep conversations about it, right? Like if I get a keyboard, I want to know who made it, how he made it, like what was the thought process, why did you choose this? Like I want to know that story. Otherwise, it's not really an end game for me. It's just like an the shelf kind of thing. And that's part of like the whole, I don't know, aura around and then the energy around the keyboards that I really enjoy. And then you guys were like, I think still might be the only ones doing interviews on the regular. And like you guys had, Heine on recently, and then Drifting Bunnies, and all these people that you're seeing these products. And
I'll shout out Inebriated. They do interviews.
Oh, okay. I gotta check
you guys,
stuff
you
out
guys
too.
Should check those guys. They're that's a fun show. If you're ever bored on a Friday night, like that's just a fun show to watch.
I'll definitely check them out. Yeah, I don't use Twitch, so I only watch like YouTube videos of you guys and like Top Clack and a couple of other people. But I think like if people put some thought behind it, and then kind of thought, what could I provide for the hobby in terms of content design or creativity or whatever. There's a lot of stuff we could cover as a community that we haven't even touched yet. And you see hints of it here and there, like the photos with the nails and the keycaps, or like fun travel photos. I think we could really start to hash out the deep content in this community and mine that content, and then make that a hook. Because a lot of people in Reddit probably don't even plan on buying a keyboard. They just like seeing everything. And then there's plenty of people who are going to want to like know the backstories of designers or whatever it might be, or they just like the ASMR. Who knows why they're in the community? And if we just focus on one part, then we're like missing all these people who could add something.
I know Chewy loves the ASMR.
anyway, but no, I agree. I would love, unfortunately, and where we are right now, obviously, Cyrus and I have full-time jobs, because as much as we would love to do this full-time, it's just not self-sustaining yet. Keeping the future open and bright and minds open. This, things can explode overnight and you just never know. But that's one of those things. I'm like, God, I wish we could interview every single person that does a group buy and then kind of release them all in a month. We don't have time for that. And a lot of it, and then on top of that, working with someone else's schedule, because a lot of these keycap designers, they have full-time jobs. They're just like, hey, I kind of designed this, I threw together in my spare time, and and you go, hey, let's, we've reached out to people who are literally like, dude, I'm out of the country for 6 weeks. Like we've had to reschedule at least 2 or 3 interviews because of people being out of the country. Like it's just it's tough to do, but hopefully we can get to that point though where it's we actually talked about this yesterday about we'd love to see more boards where you can see and hear boards and prototypes before they're released in the wild. Before and then there is obviously the discussion what's prototype meant to bring out the flaws, but even then I still think that having something to look at and something to hear is so important to someone go, oh, like it exists. It's not just a picture of, or it's not just a render. It's something tangible that at least that person can touch. So
yeah, I think we'll get to that point. I think at some point soon it's going to be like, I'm not going to buy your keyboard unless you have a proto out, or unless you've already had a group buy run.
Looking at you, Evolve designer.
Dude, he's good. He came into our Discord
the Discord and was talking about.
Yeah, Nathan's a good dude. He I know he's really active, or he's real active in Top Clack's server and Top Clack in general. I know he's gonna do many versions of that, if protos. Not.
Well, so like one example is I'm participating in the group buy for the SKB2, the Van Steel one with Plastic Schnitter, I think his ID is on PCAC. And he did an interesting thing this round where he did kind of like a mini pre-order group. I don't even know what to call it, but you could basically pay for a board up front because you knew this is his second run. You knew he's gonna make it, and he wanted to fund the first round of protos to get the color right because he was doing like bead blasting for the first time. And so a bunch of us, I think it was like 15 people, we paid a discounted price of the final group buy price early on because we trusted him and he created this protos, and now he has his typing test.
Yeah, proof of concept. So,
exactly. Like those, and I already trusted him because I already got a group buy thing in the mail, 8 months prior or whatever. I think vendors should try out these different kinds of, production methods that are a little bit unorthodox. People who do it are going to have a huge competitive edge over the other people, right? And I think there's a lot of fun ways to do it. Like you could sell your protos, you can auction them off, raffle, whatever it might. If you're reputable enough, you could just do like a 2-part group buy where early people get a discount and they get the protos. Well, I mean, I'm not a vendor, so I don't speculate too much. I know it's difficult, but I do know that if there was something that you could point to and it had a proto already, they will have a huge advantage over the rest of the field. So, and that's great for all of us again. So,
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully that happens again.
at the end of the day, with more stuff and more protos and all that does is consumer.
Yeah.
All that does is it's a victory for the consumer. So, and that's what we are. I mean, yes, we are content creators. Yes, you design an amazing website, but we're also consumers. And so, most vendors, are still consumers. There's a Dixie Mech made a Bower because he wanted the Bower. He didn't make a Bower because he was like, I want to see how much money. It was like, I'm going to design this because I think this would be a cool board to own, and I'm going to design Dual Shot because this would be a cool keycap to set. I don't want to talk about the 8008 design because that was just, but look at a sports bra. But a lot of these people, we're all 99% of the people in this hobby consumers. So any chance to help the consumer is, to me, the best opportunity and the best way that you can be able to kind of help grow is just think consumer minded.
Yeah, and people in chat are bringing up a bunch of different ways you can do it. Drifting Bunny's talking about how Key Cult does it, where they buy, they buy twice as many boards as they need, and then everything after that goes to extras. Dixie did it similar to that for Bower. 10 Strong talking about how Upas does the Brutal, Savage, and Wrecked boards where they're in stock already, and he's got them. The board we talked about on Monday, the Luna, I believe is what it's called. How it's like you're buying a board that's planning to be out next month. Like it's not really a group buy; it's more of a pre-order. Right. So there's tons of different ways to do it, and I don't think there's necessarily like the best way yet. Maybe we'll find that, but I think encourage people to try more opportunities to try different things, try different ways to do it. My model may not be the best.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see, and this is a spicy group, but I thought going into the group buy for the Xeno, I thought that was brilliant. He had already started manufacturing. And I imagine he probably started manufacturing 40. And then he launched the group buy. And he was like, so the first people that order are going to get the ones that are first. And then depending on how many I get, I'll start being able to add on to the production line. I mean, you can track down and see how well that happened, unfortunately. But that idea of like, okay, let's start with 40. And then, the people that order day one, or at least order first, they'll get their boards before everybody else. But I'm still going to give the opportunity to give everybody. And so, like, I think that's a great model. But at the end of the day, that takes capital, and not everybody has, 30 grand to throw down for 200 keyboards and hope to God they sell out. So
yeah, I don't know all the details about the Z, just like what people have commented here and there. But imagine if that worked, right? Imagine if it didn't have all the hiccups and it didn't go smoothly. That would have changed the whole group buy landscape. And I guess to Osiris's point, I don't think there's a best way, and hopefully there's never a best way, because vendors will always just one up each other, and that is just awesome for us. Like an extra day sooner, or a little bit more, professionality, or a little bit better, purchasing process, whatever it might be. Hopefully we just keep pushing that side of things. Yeah, I just know that this conversation doesn't always top because we're always focused on like the products, but I'm super interested in how different vendors are tweaking their business models as we move from hobby to economy. And we might be there already. We're just kind of like scrambling to catch up to keep reinventing, what we have now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's we're seeing it a lot in key sets too. I feel like people don't think about it that way when they see sets that maybe, like take Modern Dolch Light, right? Like it's a set that is a little bit smaller. You sacrifice a little bit on the base kit to get a certain price point. right?
Mhm.
You know, a $99 price point for the standard kit. Doesn't have an numpad, it's just basic. Fits TKL and smaller, except for 40s. Sorry. But
Too bad.
fits 95% of the community,
no.
but achieves a price point that is so low that you look at it and you're just like, okay, I'll buy that.
You're almost dumb not to, especially with how we're in a strange hobby that does not lose value.
Yeah.
It doesn't lose a lot. Now I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how these high volume sets go, because we're kind of seeing with Oblivion, this is kind of the first big test of like, okay, well, how's Oblivion handled? But sets like Dracula and Olivia, and if there's that many sets out there, how flippable is it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we've seen what, one set that has sold for less than group buy price, and that's Plum.
For most part, Plum, and there are a couple Oko sets that I think will sell like maybe it's like $15 cheaper. But even then, it's like I used a key. I basically rented a keycap set for $15. Like hell yeah, I'd rent a keycap set for $15 for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's like, I know personally, I'm not going to be upset the day that I can't flip a keycap set and get more money for a used keycap set than I did when I bought it. Like
Yeah.
I'll be okay if I get, $95 for my GMK Olive if I decide to sell it in 2 years, I don't think we're in such a weird place in the hobby. I mean, I've talked about this before. I feel like I was telling Chewy a couple weeks ago about how I feel like the boards that came out in 2018, the 2018 boards, are going to skyrocket in value this year because there's going to be so many people that are looking for those, like your 910s, your TX V1s, because the V2 came out, and I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are a little bit disappointed in those. The V2s of the 60 and the 65, those V1s might sell for more. There's going to be, it's such a weird, the community's so weird. It's like,
well, that else. And then what I think is also interesting is like, who was it? Yanglad brought this up with the M0110. By the time that comes out, that board, unfortunately, that board's had other issues, but by the time that comes out, that board's old news, and design-wise is old news. Some of these boards, it's like, if it takes 6 months to create, like if then you're just behind. It's like, cool, I got this board, but I don't even care anymore because gaskets are the big thing. And it's like, what happens if it could be very likely in the next 6 months that a couple different board makers go, hey, actually this is the best way to make a board, and that people are sitting there with their Polarises going, well, shit, I don't care about gasket anymore because that's the best thing. And so it's such we're just such an awkward and fast moving with design, but we're slow to kind of deliver on stuff, which I mean is acceptable to an extent because you're building a lot of boards and having to get them shipped and quality controlled and all that. But it's just an interesting concept to think about, of just like, design changes so fast. Gaskets have not been around that long, and gaskets are like the top of the top. So, but if you guys have questions, by the way, just feel free to add us in the chat, and we'll happily answer them.
So I do, Sleek. What keyboards are you looking forward to most this year? Keyboards and key sets.
Keyboards and key sets. Let me look at my website.
Sleekeyboards.com if you're interested in looking at groups.
I think cat sets I'm really interested in trying. I haven't tried them yet, so I'm not going to jump in before I tried them. I also don't particularly like how a lot of the lettering is centered on the cat sets for most of them. So I'm curious to try those out, how they look in person. I think you guys talked about this last time too. There are almost no cat sets in the wild.
Yeah, there's like just Cat Alpha, which is the black and white one.
Black and white one, yeah. So I'm curious to see like what it feels like, if there's any changes since that set. Yeah, I'm really curious about that one. Cat Cam, these kind of newer ones that kind of popped up and became more popular the last couple months. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about how I think we're gonna hit a point where there's like 30 a month. And so that'll be a fun ride. Keyboards, man, the Lodestone, that's a wild one. I think we're seeing people go really wild with the technicals when it comes to keyboards. What was the generative 3D printed one? You guys talked about that this week as well.
The Evolve, yeah.
The Evolve, yeah. Yeah, I keep forgetting.
He said he's going to run over it with a truck, and I'm going to hold it to that.
With that structural integrity, it might work.
I'm going to be like, come with me. We're going to walk out to the road real quick. I'm going to give someone $5 for their time to just drive over it.
Get someone with like a dually.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it flattens, I'll buy it for a discount price.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think people are going really innovative with tech, so I'm excited to see, what it's like. The one thing I wish there would be, and this probably needs more prototyping, but I wish some keyboard designs started to become optimized for sound, which is something I don't think we've seen as much. I'm all about the sound. Like I don't care as much about the weight or even switches. I care most about the sound. That's like one of my favorite keyboards is like an N Pro 2 because it just like sounds really thwacky and hollow. And for some reason, a lot of other keyboards can't replicate that. But I think that'd be really cool if people played with like insulation and different types of layers and things like that to test out sound. That'd be awesome. So ideas to any designers out there. Jax has been teasing the UHM. I forget the exact acronym, but the new like cast plastic.
UHMWPE.
Oh, the Oompa Loompa stems.
Well, plastic.
The keyboards. Yeah, that plastic cast in a keyboard. I'm curious about that. It's like the cutting mat, material. So yeah,
if he doesn't name the board the Oompa 60 or something like that, I'm pissed. So Jax, if you're listening,
yeah, Jax,
you're welcome for your name.
Yeah, I think there's it's funny too because you talk about we're having a lot of innovation right now, and we talked a lot about the innovation on Monday. I agree. I think there needs to be more and more innovation. I actually want to go back on something that I said a little bit was I don't feel like they 100% need to succeed. I feel like it just needs to get close. Like if they don't have to 100% achieve their goal, but if they get close, because if you look back, specifically when we've talked about gaskets, right? The meme was a board that was one of the first that I had seen that had gaskets on it. And it had gaskets, and it was a big deal on Reddit. It was a very hyped post. A lot of people knew about the board. It was a small buy, but it didn't really succeed. Like if you talk to Heine and to Krelbit, they'll be like, dude, that board was a joke. Like that board did not come out well, but it got people to look more into gaskets. It got people to want to make that happen, and it saw that theory start to try to come to life, and it I think that's what we can see with these boards that are happening right now. If they don't 100% nail it, maybe then board that comes out 6 months later nails it, or a year later nails it, and then all of a sudden now we've got all these boards with these crazy plates and magnets and
how do they work?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am curious to know what the next big thing's going to be. We're sitting here and twiddling my thumbs waiting. I am excited about these Zeal clickies. This could be a game changer.
Zeal clickies, yeah. I don't think I've ever tried non cherry blue clickies.
So you've never tried a box click?
I don't think so.
Oh
I don't
man,
remember.
you're missing out on
Yeah,
some
that's
loud
something I
Some
might
fun.
really want to dive into at KeyCon and figure it out.
So Drifting Bunnies asks, would you let designers add their own stuff to your website?
Well, so what's been happening since I launched was tons of people have been sending me messages. Shout out to like I can't pronounce his name, Dvorkol on Geek Hack. He's always like, check this out. You missed this one. You did that. I think he's emailed me like 4 or 5 times since I launched, and I really appreciate it. So if you have something that you're working on, generally for group buys, I don't put them up unless the date and the vendor is for sure, because I don't want this to be another like IC checkboard and it just be flooded with things that it's not really that useful anymore. So you can feel free to message me on Discord or Instagram. In terms of the keyboards as well, I will try to list more keyboard stuff. If you have information and pictures of your board, if you ran one or a board that you really like and you don't see it on there, I was talking to Jay on Discord about putting his J01 and 02 on there, and I haven't been to do so, but it's that part of the digging of information is a little bit tougher. I have to get in contact with people and make sure it's right and get the thumbs up. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to see it on there. I've listed a couple boards that I didn't even know about on the keyboard section because they reached out and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. My criteria is it already out? Have people tried it? And yeah, is there more information that they can look up? So that's a long answer of there's no automated way, but just hit me up and we'll figure something out.
Also, I believe that GMK Lunar and GMK links to GMK Botanical.
Okay. Yeah, I'll fix that right now.
Hey, look at that. On the fly fixing. Sleekeyboards.com.
Yeah, I got you guys. Yeah, I sometimes I do this at like 1 a.m. Saturday, and
it takes a village. So
no, yeah. Anything that you guys like, if there's a mislink or something, or you want to, or if something's past group by, just let me know, and I always appreciate it.
It's a one-man show, It takes
well,
time.
and you don't know you're making a mistake until it says, "Hey, you're making a mistake."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's better to know and be able to fix than just constantly make said mistake. So, but I mean, like I said, guys, this website is. I mean, this was like a fun thing that he did. Like I remember the first conversation we had, you were like, "Hey, this. If you want to be included on this, let me know and like send me some pictures if you want to change it." And we sent out the pictures we thought looked, it's kind of a showcase. So we're like, all right, well, let's pick some better pictures that we think showcase stuff a little more. And it's fun to work with. I was really excited to see like kind of how he approached it. And I was really hyped. I mean, that's what we talked about it whenever it launched. It was like, this is such a cool idea and it's only gotten better. So
yeah, I guess I will say it's still very much a work in progress. And my only personal ambition for the site and the Instagram and newsletter is that I could work more closely with people in the community. Because I want to learn a lot. I want to cool stuff that we can achieve. Hold on, I'll update this in a second. It's like burning my computer up. I'm like watching the stream, trying to load up the website builder, and so like if you're a vendor, new designer, whatever it might be, like I don't want to offer too much because I'm still a small fish in a big pond. But like I started 6 weeks ago, and now we're at 600 Instagram followers. I have like 300 newsletter people. If I keep this up, then hopefully I have some leverage that we can do cool stuff, in collaboration. And I'm always excited to see people thinking outside the box. And if I can help other people think outside the box, then that's all I want to see. Like I just want to have fun in this hobby. So hopefully, if any people have ideas of what I could do on the site as well, or as activities, feel free to reach out. I'll be at KeyCon as well, so come by and tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I could do better or what I could do. We'll have some fun with it, and we'll get a beer and then whatever.
Hell yeah, dude. Drink it up, fight it out.
Fight it out. I don't know about that
Have
one.
a little fun, bro. So, but no, I just can't get enough of it. I'm excited to see where it goes. We're probably gonna post a link in our Discord. So for those watching this now, you'll go to our Discord and we'll have something to redirect you, because this Geek Hack, I mean,
Dude, Geek Hack sucks.
Geek Hack sucks. Yeah, it just sucks. It sucks dick.
It's ugly.
It looks terrible. The only option for dark mode is brown and orange. And I'm sorry, Drifting Bunnies, but orange is a terrible color. and so
he says while having orange hair, and his wife is also.
I don't have
orange.
the option.
Yeah,
I mean, I do, but effort. But and I'm talking about this.
True.
Yeah, I'm sitting there with a fucking orange. Orange just is a terrible color, and so I'm sitting there already don't like it. Some random jackass, posted something on a thread that's been dead for 8 months, and then it pops back up, and I'm like, why is this on the front page? And then Reddit, I love RMK. It's great. It's how I got started. I was on RMK for a year before I even bought my first mechanical keyboard, because I liked looking at the pretty pictures. But a lot of people, a lot of people go on Reddit, but a lot of people post pictures. It's hard to find information on Reddit.
Yeah.
So, and it's just tough. It's very tough. Instagram's another fun one, but once again, it's just pictures. So finding neat and organized information is extremely valuable. And I just wish we had this when we started.
Yeah.
It'd make things so much easier.
Because I can't tell you how many times I'm be looking for a board that's in Group Buy or a key set that's in Group Buy, and I just couldn't find things that were actually available for purchase. I had money. I was prepared to spend money on things, but I just couldn't find things because I didn't know where to look. I didn't know where. I knew Geek Hack was there, but I was like, okay, well, this one's not here. Ooh, I like this. Oh wait, that ran a year ago. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, that ran 3 months ago. Having Sleekeyboards.com is awesome for being able to just be like, okay, what's running right now where I can go see. It's better than a newsletter, or not newsletter. It's better than the spreadsheets. It's better than a lot of the other solutions I've seen, because it gives you the pictures. You get you just get a quick one page where you can go down and you can see just a little picture of everything that's running, when it's ending. It's just an awesome resource. And
it takes you to Geek Hack, which then you're like, oh, okay, at least you've navigated Geek Hack for me, which thank God, because once again, Geek Hack. But so like I said, if you guys have any more questions, TFF Cypher, by the way, sounds like this website's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
As he said, I'm literally dealing with that research right now. Sleekeyboards.com, because that's the actual problem that can save you some time, but it won't save you money, because you're going to look at it and go, so you're costing people money, Sleek. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's name the real crime here, which is all we're doing is saying you should buy this because it looks awesome, and you're like, now I don't have money.
Yeah, you guys don't know my other side hustle with a former keyboard addict therapy clinic that I'm doing on the side.
Small groups.
And everything else. Yeah.
There you go, dude. Small groups. So, and yeah, was it X6 Coinstorm. Geek Hack is in dire need of a redesign, I should say. It needs it needs some scrubbing, and we need to be able to post. So, or just give me a feature that says hide. Just that's all you. I mean, that would honestly double my ability to use Geekhack. It's just I don't want to see this anymore. I'm not interested in this anymore. Japanese horror writer, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Always, my dude. I hope you're going to KeyCon. If you are, please come say hi. You're gonna get the biggest hug.
Yeah, for real, dude. You're nuts. Yeah, and what's funny is like earlier, like throughout the conversation, I hadn't really thought about what you brought up of how with the way that Reddit and Geekhack work is that if something keeps getting reposted, it creates more hype around it. Whereas your website really goes around that. The sets are getting hype based on their design 100%, not necessarily not necessarily by having 4 pages worth of posts on their interest check.
Yeah, because
really
the way I look at it, like Geek Hack and Reddit, and maybe like to a certain extent like Desk Authority or Keep Talk, they're like very specific animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're a very specific way to engage with the hobby. And I think we always underestimate how specific they are and the kinds of people they're bringing in. But there could be one that's more visual, like content or journalistically oriented, or it could be something they can listen to, more podcast oriented, whatever it might be. There are other ways to kind of bring people into this hobby that I think it's kind of getting lost. Bits and pieces are there on Reddit, but I think if people made separate competing websites and different ways and entry points, it would be super cool. Like I've been talking to like Mint Lodica from TKC, and she has her own like cute keyboards Discord channel, and and I love this because I also wanted to start a Discord at some point that was more focused on keyboard curation. It's like, this keycap set is out, what board are you going to put it on and why? And like make it very kind of objective, or I don't know, subjectively objective, whatever. But I love that kind of outlet because it's people might just really like cute things and they want to see this stuff and they don't necessarily care about building a keyboard. They just like seeing this cute thing on someone else's desk that happens to be written on by like 50 Cent or whoever might happen to touch it. So I think, I think if people thought, about more ways to bring people in, or what other ways, our hobby could overlap with others, that would be awesome. And it'll start to change a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah. So X Coinstar asks, any recommendations for a starting kit? I guess it just depends on budget and what keys you need. If you have a budget, and if you're someone who is able to use a 60% or you need a full size, you're more than welcome to throw it in chat. Just hit deck for us so I can see it, or you can PM us on Discord and happily walk you through. And then as well, TFF Cypher says, I'm going to be doing my first Keeb thanks to my son showing me what you're able to do with Keebs. Very excited. Hell yeah. I love seeing the people that are like, yeah, my son and I. Like, there's few, and I've told my dad 100 times, I'm like, oh, I'm going to build you a board. He's like, I like my wireless Logitech one. I'm like, why? He's like, because it's wireless. All right, bud. Have a good one. ISO 165 around 250. You know what? Hit me up in Discord, and we can talk options. Because there are a lot of options in that realm.
Some decent stuff you can.
A Bluetooth canoe. I won't build anyone blood related to me a 60%.
Yeah. My parents understand the keyboard thing a little bit more, I guess. As soon as I start talking about how like they hold value, they're like, "Oh, okay." And my parents are like, "Oh, that's fine. I get it."
After they saw the Baka, they understood. Like, I brought one over and I was like, "Hey, this," and they're like, and the first thing is they were like, "Why is it so heavy?" Just thank you. I'll take it back now. They're like, it's so heavy and it's so small, and I'm like, because you don't need that many keys. And this is just a fun tip for people who are like, how can you use that kind of keyboard? Like, what do you do on your iPhone or your Android phone? You click a little button and it brings up a whole new set of keys, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and that's what you do on keyboards. There's the connection. I saw that on Reddit, but that's not
It's true though.
organic.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of night. We gotta get into our final two, our last two questions. First one being, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the community right now?
The favorite is definitely like just the level of entrepreneurial growth that's happening in the community. That's just so exciting from my perspective. I think even the last 6 to 8 months, we've seen a lot of people go full time, vendors up their scale, like designers issuing new boards very quickly. People like, Key Colt really stepping up their game, Nathan Kim going full time. Like it's really a different level than it was even 4 or 5 months ago. And like I mentioned, I'm working with the Key Company on something new. Like I know Jason's thinking about new resources and something else that could bring people into the hobby, and different things other than just selling. I think more and more vendors and designers starting to think outside the box, or at least take it serious. Where they're like, we can really make this part of the economy. All of that energy is really exciting to me. And like we've discussed a lot on this, show today, where people try out and test different things, even if they fail or get close enough, it's just going to keep pushing the hobby to get bigger and bigger. That's what I really love that, and that's why I personally came in. What do I hate the most? What do I not like the most? There's nothing that I don't like. There are plenty of things that I see where I think, oh, in 6 months, that's probably not going to happen anymore. Here's, I guess, one hot take, and if anyone's going to KeyCon, feel free to come up to me and talk to me about this. But I personally think that no one should be able to own a colorway when it comes to key sets. I think everything's fair game. It's like saying, only Ferraris can make red cars. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And I think we'll quickly get to a point where we've covered all the big umbrellas of key set colorways. And then people will have to start to walk the line between, all right, this is a little bit close to Olivia, different enough, GMK Pono. Close enough to GMK Minimal, but it's a different shade of white, GMK Bleached. I think that's good. And I don't think we should have an attitude that, oh, that was already done, you can't do that anymore. I think the more nuanced we get, the better. The more supply we get, the better. And the market will decide whether something, kosher or not, stepping on too many toes. And I think that's fine. Some people will make mistakes, and I think that's fine. It's a different story for like novelties and artisans, of course. But that's my hot take. Nobody owns a colorway. It's like fashion. You can't own a color. You can't own pattern necessarily. So I'm curious to see how people will take that and be like, oh, well, I'll just take Olivia and then switch out the spacebar with a blue one. But I think things will change very quickly, and some attitudes might change as well concerning the hobby. But in general, I love the hobby because it's very different from the Magic the Gathering hobby, Fortnite hobby, or a lot of the other Reddit hobbies. It has a different flavor to it, and for me, I have to thank everyone that like you guys, you supported, gave the go ahead for the website. I contacted, I think, close to like 40 people, and nobody knew who I was. I was a random guy on the internet, hoping like everything.
My mom told me to stay away from you, so like 20 years ago.
Well, your mom, you should get your mom over there now. But everyone was super supportive. Everyone was really excited about it, and it's grown into a very exciting thing for me. And I think I want to keep adding to the hobby. And yeah, I share everyone's concerns. Hopefully this hobby doesn't turn into like, everyone becomes like a final mouse and everyone's trying to like make a monopoly and all this stuff.
Final meme, dude. That the company itself is it is a meme. I don't their Twitter, dude. It is rough. Or I'll go and read it, and I'm like,
it's awesome to watch.
What is happening? How is this company still successful?
I think there's a lot of like enough dry humored in the world that will consume it, or enough like young people that watch Tfue and Ninja. But yeah, I'm generally really excited. And okay, that was a long answer to the question.
Hey, we like long answers. It's better than like, it's like, what's your favorite part and least favorite part? My favorite part is keyboards, and my least favorite part is waiting. Like, oh, you're done. Cool. All right. Like, so not that anybody's done that, but I'm waiting for the day that we have someone say that, and I'm like, care to expand a little bit? Like, what keyboard do you like?
Yeah, you guys are risking it by talking to people you haven't talked to before.
It's
you have no idea.
It's a fun. What always baffles me is the people that are the most nervous beforehand.
Yeah,
are always the best interviews. The people that come in panicking, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's either them or other streamers that are like build streamers are good at just talking to air. So like they're always like IMURU is really good at talking. So like he's gonna be great. But the other people that shown up are like, I'm really nervous. I've never done this before. I've never shown my face before. And then they like knock it out of the park. So
yeah.
That's always been fun to watch. Last question: Parks and Rec or The Office?
It's The Office.
No love for Parks and Rec this year.
2020, the year of The Office.
Yeah, my friends and I still make like that's what she said jokes, like Prison Mike. Like we do those impressions all the time with Stanley Hudson. Like that was my like middle school to high school, high school to college, I think. But I will qualify that. Like my wife works for a park, and so when I watch the show with her, it's always hilarious because she's like, "That happened to me." Like those like what is it? Town hall
meetings.
Yeah. Those happen exactly how they show in the show.
Oh, I'm sure. People are crazy because people who are crazy enough to go to a town hall meeting are the people that are like, my voice will be heard.
I think she had a couple of months ago a guy who talks to squirrels come in.
Hey, squirrels need love too. Right? They need to be talked
to. But I will say, I do think the characters individually in Parks and Rec are better done. I don't know if better is the right word, but they're like more individually definable than like the group of The Office.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I think Ron Swanson and Larry David are my two favorite TV characters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could be a mixture of Larry David and Ron, like 40 or 50, I will be a happy man forever. So
just start eating copious amounts of red meat and drinking.
Oh God. Yeah.
I need all of the bacon and eggs you had. Wait,
I don't think you understand what I just said. One that my coworker and I use from literally every day is, there are those who can, and there are those who are high on a grasshopper. So, thank you, man. Check out Sleekeyboards, but that's 1K, Sleekeyboards.com for all your up-to-date news on group buys, as well as boards that are coming out or boards that have come out. If you're interested, it's an amazing. I cannot say nice enough things about this awesome website. It's very well done. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I guess if you don't mind plugging one.
Oh, absolutely. Plug away.
So like you guys said, the website's there for all guys. There's some keyboarding content, creative information. But I will say over the last couple of weeks, I've focused a lot on the Instagram for like fun like community activities like today's giveaway, which you guys check out if you're late to the stream. And particularly the newsletter, like sign up for the newsletter, because that's where I've been having a lot of fun sending out like wacky newsletters. Also, I'm Korean, so I troll. I kind of crawl through all the Korean forums, and so sometimes I put in like little sprinkles of insider information that's not yet on Geek Hack. And so I just want to kind of get that out there. And I've been having some fun with the newsletter, going a little wild on it. So
I mean, let's be real. You're into keyboards, and so you just decided to make something that causes you to have to type a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call this what it is. All right. You were like, well, I've got this awesome keyboard. Might as well make something that makes me have to type all the time. So, but yeah, be sure, like I said, go follow the Key.Company, Company, Sleekeyboards, and us, and comment on one of those three what you're typing on keycap wise on Instagram, and that will enter you to potentially win a hoodie, a Holy Panda hoodie with the sticker. I really need a new sticker because this is what once was the Holy Panda sticker. It's no longer a thing. But 159, thank you, Korean Pride. There it is. And so real quick, shout out to our sponsors. We'll run through them. Zap Cables make some of the best cables in the business, so be sure to check that out and get some awesome desk mats as well. Dixie is running Modern Dolch Light. Be sure to go grab that. Definitely say you don't want to miss out on as well. Be sure to fill out your brackets for Mech Madness. It's the closing time is approaching quickly, sooner than even I thought. So make sure to get all that stuff squared away. Project Keyboards running GMK Perestroika. Great set. It was just on our lovely Mr. Sleek top 4 keycap sets, I believe. So be sure to check that out. Canon Keys running GMK Finer Things, a great Tiffany blue set. He's got some awesome stuff coming out soon as well. Switchmod.net for GMK Metaverse 2. I believe is today or is yesterday the last day, or is it
the 22nd?
22nd. Okay, so you got a few days left. You can use promo code Chewy or promo code Osiris with 0 for $5 off that base kit. That did just get extended to include white F keys,
F5
white
through
F5 through F8. And last but not least, check out Tight Beast on Instagram. He is a awesome supporter of the stream, so be sure to check all of that.
Yeah, and that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us. I know Chewy's going to probably look for someone to host. We appreciate everyone stopping by tonight, and we appreciate you, Mr. Sleekeyboards.
Thanks, guys. Had a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah,
It was. Dude,
So
have to grab mini beers on KeyCon. It's going to be...
KeyCon will...
Yeah, we'll grab a slice and a beer.
Boom.
Do it again. Let's go.
So we're going to be rating Apiary. If you don't know, she's an awesome keyboard streamer. I think she's just doing like keyboard chores and lubing tonight. So keeping it chill, but definitely check her stuff out. And thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Be sure to enter in that Instagram info and get yourself a Holy Panda hoodie. So bye, Switch Tester.
See ya.